and we deal with this particular subject on black psychology. Before I had to take on the endeavors of dealing with my people in the particular aspect, which was not a self-appointed a position. I was put in this position by the actual people. That's one thing I want to reiterate, because you have to ask yourself sometimes when you go out and you want to help people. A lot of times, if people say, you know, they want to do it, you got to ask yourself whether it's self-aggrandizement or do you want to get anything out of it. I was only interested in trying to find out the degree of what happened to my people, a degree of what happened to the people, what happened to my history, and what were solutions, more so than going out lecturing. And so when the word got out, the people chose me to do lecturing and stuff, and literally put me out there to do it. So, but the spirit world prepared me for this particular job long before I even knew I was going to do it. And one of the things is to dig deep into a long history of black psychology. Now, black psychology is not like white psychology, where you go and you learn all this. You learn all this stuff based on European mental illness, which is the basis of white psychology. Basically, when it came to black psychology, it was a case study. It dealt with empirical evidence, and it was always an on-the-field study. So it's an ongoing study. You see what I'm saying? It's not just one of these things whereas it's some textbook contrived or something that has already been synthesized and put in a certain standard. No, it is ongoing because, number one, we did have our brains ripped out in slavery, which leads to a lot of black psychology. And it doesn't necessarily because we also can include the Africans and all, because the simple fact, part of us went through slavery, part of us also went through a form of colonization. You see what I'm saying? And all was colonized in history, which adds to a part of black psychology. Being historically illiterate is a psychosis. It is a deficit, and it is a mental illness. That's like somebody selling you a Microsoft computer, a Microsoft software, and not giving you any instructions, no manual how to use it. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Somebody giving you a high-tech piece of technology and not giving you any type of instruction on how to use it. That's what we are. We basically walk around the earth on a transient state, hoping we don't bump into nothing, and taking on all the characters of other people's society, parts of society, and all of other people's pathologies as well as our own pathologies in the aspect of not knowing, is this the blueprint? Is this the origin on why I act this way? All because we don't have a guided manual. So we know that being historically illiterate is a direct link to mental illness. Because that means even when you say, I'm going to try to think right, it also means, does these thoughts that you are thinking you think right, are these thoughts actually your own? Mm-hmm. So it's like they say, the concept of freedom, we may not know because our thoughts might not even be free. Mm-hmm. You know, I was in a check cashing place one day. You're all familiar about that in the black community. Mm-hmm. Well, here's another form of black psychology. White folks either email their bills and their phone bill, or they pay them through direct deposit.
Right, on the computer, yeah, right.
On the computer, mm-hmm. Or they even mail it in. So they know that the phenomenon where you physically got to go down to a place and pay a bill, they know that the only people that do that now left behind are mostly black people.
And the Spanish.
And the foreigners.
Right.
So they used to have these places, the phone company used to have an actual place that whatever Bell South or Bell Atlantic or Northern Bell or whatever,
you can go pay your bill.
You go pay your bill.
Right.
They all relegated that now to check cashing places. You got to physically go, you know what I'm saying, mm-hmm. and pay pay your bill that way. Now, I don't have to do it now because if I don't have the internet, I know somebody who does have the internet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I call them up and say, yo, pay this bill over the phone, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it's done now. But before the transition happened and stuff, they really shut. Before we realized we was going to have to do it, they said they really shut black people out. And they had to go to these check cashing places.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm up in the check cashing place. It's like 1999, up in the check cashing place. I got to go pay a telephone bill. Some other guys up in there coming in to pay a bill, a telephone bill. And while he's there, the cop comes and writing out a ticket on his car. He runs out of the building, meets the cop head on, and gets there before the cop can finish the ticket. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And the cop still writes him a ticket. He walks in frustrated, knowing that it was really messed up, because he got there before the cop really,
Right.
you know. He walks in, and I looked at him and go, here you are paying a bill,
Mm-hmm.
and while you paying a bill, you receiving another bill.
Mm-hmm.
And so you say we free.
Mm-hmm.
He turned around and said, oh, we free. Oh, we are free. I'm looking at this damn fool saying, you don't get it, man? The concept here that the only reason why you saying you free is because somebody told you was free. Now, that's psychology, because in the book, The Cult Technology of Power, which is the Illuminati handbook,
Mm-hmm.
they say if you want to put a people in slavery, the first thing you do is to tell them that they are free.
Mm-hmm.
He said, as long as you don't have a monarchy, people get jealous of royalty,
Mm-hmm.
monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
He said, as long as you don't have a monarchy, as long as you have a process that so-called says that leader was put there by your vote or by your choice, then the people will go to sleep because they will think in actuality they have some input into the government's process. And so therefore, you can actually put them in slavery. And the only thing you got to do is report what you want that the government is doing on your behalf. Not only do you do that, you choose on what you want to report on. Because obviously the government is into millions of things that the people don't even know exist. And they don't even have to report on it. Only thing they got to report on is health care, child care, education, you know what I'm saying? Energy, spending, you know what I'm saying? The basic things like that. And so basically you train a people into what you want them to inquire about.
Mm-hmm.
You get where I'm coming from here?
Right. Train.
This is a basis of mind control. So now, when it comes to black folks, we have a basic blueprint on how to think. And so therefore, it's already been preset for us. And they know that we don't have to deviate from it. And the majority of us don't. This is why the white man is always confused when they'll find some black person that's thinking of something that's outside of what black people normally do. Like, take for instance, they got a series, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and they got a series of stores called Kroger's
Mm-hmm.
down in Atlanta. They automatically, at first, these stores used to have health food products in the white community. Because they just automatically thought that black people weren't into health food.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And for the most part, if it's anybody that's going to not be into health food, it's going to be as masses, it's going to be a lot of black people.
Exactly.
Because we know that basically, as us being conscious, one of the main things with black people is is their diet.
Right.
When we found out, when we fall by the wayside. But they put the health food stuff in the black community, in the Kroger's in the black community, and which was a couple of shelves, and the stuff, they couldn't even keep the stuff on the doggone shelf. So here they underestimated black people.
Mm-hmm.
And now they got a whole entire back section of the show of the store that's completely health food wise. So here goes again. We have certain blueprints that's set up for us. On the other hand, the way black people think.
Right.
we automatically think that certain black people are certain ways. So it's not just white folks thinking this way. Black people automatically think that certain black people fit one criteria, one monolithic type of thought form. And so therefore, when you come to them, they are already trained to have a preconceived notion on how you're going to act and how you're going to behave, and basically what you're going to say or basically who you are. But now in the mass level, because it's a program thing, we see thousands of black people that fit the same mold. That fit the same mold.
Right.
And also too. So it becomes it's a two-fold system. Number one, it is a institutionalized process that sets in mold this black pathology. On the other one, it is the condition of the black pathology that has now made mental illness a tradition in the black community. Let me give you an example. Just a little small thing before we get into this. I'm down in Mullins,
South Carolina?
South Carolina, in the 70s. I asked the person, what you eating? He said, iced potatoes.
What the hell is iced potatoes?
Iced potatoes. It means Irish potatoes.
Okay.
But I heard a bunch of Negroes down in Mullins when I was growing up always say iced potatoes. This means that some Negro in the black community
made that up, huh?
mispronounced or couldn't say Irish potatoes and said iced potatoes.
And everybody else used it.
And it caught on that everybody else used it by thinking that this is the right pronunciation because we got a cancer that exacerbated itself amongst a set group of people, you see what I'm saying, who took pathology, you see what I'm saying, as the standard. Now that might be a small indication, but it also goes to say how our thought patterns. We can have mistakes that can come about in the community, and they become standard. They become standard. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
There's the whole thing, there is no honor among thieves. That means that the thieves set up a certain code because the environment around them is this person here done got over on me, so therefore we all get over on each other because because everybody in this community is the same way. Like take for instance, I'm up in New Jersey. I met a brother who worked in the prison system. He worked in the jailhouse. In the jailhouse, they get a lot of people, and they have these brothers, some brothers up there, they were trying to teach these people a certain amount of knowledge and information. And he said, it's kind of coming kind of hard to say anything to the prisoners. I said, why? He said, because it's such a criminal environment. So when they in there, they're in about survival of the fittest. So if I step to them and say, the white man is this, and you don't need to be doing this because this is the way the game is set up. He said, by them being on a survival mode, he said they will use the information that I gave them to help them. They will use it as leverage and some form of blackmail or bribery to get something that they want in that survival mode, and they'll use that against me. He said, so I've had brothers that I've tried to help. That they in the survival mode, they go, I need this. You go, you can't do that. They're like, well, I'm going to tell the man what you said about the white folks. I'm going to tell the man what you said about this particular policy. So that means you got people that have gone beyond just trying to maneuver and to counter the atrocious system that they find themselves into, to being a part of a victim of that system, whereas in actuality, you see what I'm saying? They are trying to, they have become to a survival aspect of that system, whereas they become, the end result is, you see what I'm saying? They are basically a part of the system and help fuel that system does. You know what I'm saying? Because they've got caught and trapped in it. And all. So it's no more counter. You see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
It's a maneuver to automatically hold that system. So they help foster that system.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So you go into a downward spiral.